How's it going, guys? It's Mr. Lone Wolf, and today I've just got some mission gameplay with Bruce. We're doing the mission called Inclement Weather. I wanted to put this in yesterday's video, but it was already long enough. I didn't want to make it too long, so yeah, I wasn't able to sleep last night either at all. It's too bloody hot in England at the minute, so I haven't really done too much gameplay tonight. But I've been wanting to do this for a while because it was quite a nice, clean mission. I quite enjoyed doing it. It was good taking Bruce out. You can also see on this one, I've edited most of it. I'm not going to sit in the snow for ages, but I should have turned left back there and sort of cut through that little block of houses and everything. But because I just drove past and I couldn't be arsed reversing, I kind of knew though once I was here that I want to see how Bruce does in this snow, because yeah, it's like this super snow on this map, and it just makes it not as adventurous and random. I basically start cutting across the map, kind of to the top middle of the map is where I'm aiming, top middle of the screen, sorry, and then I'll sort of join the road again and go back up that hill. But yeah, as you can see now, and Bruce is because it's got 10 wheels, it has a hell of a lot of grip. As you can see, its chin is possibly not even touching the snow at that point, and yeah, it just goes down to about this speed, which it's a bit of a shame. It's not just limited to this. This is still a very good truck. To be honest, this is a surprisingly good truck for this map, considering there is a lot of bumps and all sorts. Yeah, it does pretty well, especially when you're hauling stuff, because it's, again, got a lot of grip, got a lot of contact patches with the floor. So in the end, I just stuck a winch on that tree. But yeah, you can see it's not even very dense snow, or not, sorry, not dense. It's not very deep snow or anything. At least at that abandoned village thing, it was kind of it did look pretty deep. It'd be cool if it went even deeper though, that's what she said. But you know, if it went up to your windscreen and all that, it'd be pretty cool. So we're back on the road now, and basically I'm going to have, when I was driving here, I was making a lot of random errors, hitting trees and stuff, so I got to this point now with the trailer, and I decided to park the trailer here and just jump back to the garage and have a cleaner run from the start of the mission. So I'm just going to go a different way to it than I just did cutting across the snow. I'll kind of go the proper way out the garage. I always do that a lot, catch his little legs on them walls or everything, on trees, all sorts. But you could do with a crane for this mission. I think this is one of those missions you'd need a crane, because it's like a piece of cargo that's already just in the middle of nowhere. It's like a service, but the mission's gone at the minute, probably because I recovered. Yeah, so you need a crane basically. You're going to have to lift it into a trailer. There's no way of just packing it automatically. Was it just me, or when this game come out, didn't they say if you load it with a crane yourself, you'd make more money per mission? I'm sure that was a thing, but I tested it myself ages ago and I never found a difference. But I couldn't test it as in redo the mission, but I was looking at the prices it tells you and then doing missions with and without using the crane, and I never noticed any difference from the payout to what it originally said. Yeah, like I say, I did this gameplay about probably a week or two ago, but I've just there's not really been a video where, yeah, I just wasn't really happy tacking it on the back of something else. But as I've not really slept, it's just been say too hot in England. It started pissing it down with rain and thunder about an hour ago, which was pretty nice because that cooled things down a bit. I still don't feel that well, still got a bit of a swollen neck and everything, but yeah, I'll be good. I've had worse. So yeah, at least it's a bit colder now though. Well, for a bit. Now the thunderstorm's gone, it'll probably get really humid again. But the only thing I don't like about opening my windows when it's raining is the spiders. They come in. I don't know about anyone else, but I fucking hate spiders. I don't mind other stuff, like snakes, cockroaches, I mean, obviously if I went to the kitchen to make a coffee and there was just a snake chilling on the floor, I'm not going to go up and pet it. But if someone had a pet snake, yeah, I'm not bothered about all that sort of stuff. But spiders I just can't stand. Funny enough, actually, years ago, I had a snake. I was in a little rubber dinghy and a snake come flying out the hedge, then started swimming in the river at me. But luckily I had a small fish with me, so I threw that at it and it fucked off. Funny enough, actually, that was if I was in a rubber dinghy, that must have been like a couple of years before the motorised swimming pool attempt. That was like the evolution. It's funny, I've never had a lot of money, but I've certainly tried to squeeze the most out of life. When I have to remember back my 20s by like, was I throwing fish at a snake, or was I motorising a swimming pool? That's how I remember the chronology of what I've been up to. But yeah, I was in a dinghy fishing, and like I was debating with my brother. Like he was fishing, he was pretty much near me, but he was casting out to where he was like fishing for pike and bigger fish. I was arguing that I was reeling in a fish like every minute, but they only probably weighed like 10 grams instead of 10 pounds or whatever. And yeah, but I was catching a fish like every minute, so I was saying like, this to me is more fun than sitting there for 4 hours and probably never even getting a bite. I know you might land a bigger one, but yeah, I was having fun just fishing little fish. And then yeah, I reeled a fish in. I mean, like barbless hooks and that, so easy to get out. But yeah, as I took the hook out the fish, this snake, not a big one, probably like a grass snake or something, I assume, I don't know, I've not really seen a lot of snakes and that, to be honest, but yeah, come flying out the boat. It was only about, I don't know, 3 foot long or something, and it was swimming at me. And then yeah, like I say, I had a fish on me, threw the fish at it, and then it immediately turned around. I don't know, like, it might have been trying to eat the fish, trying to steal my fish. What an animal. Or, I don't know, maybe the snake and the fish were mates. Maybe that fish let out some kind of distress signal, and the snake heard it, and it came to its rescue. Because really, the biggest winner of the day there was the fish. I mean, do you know what as well? It's funny, you know, like, you take a shot at a basketball hoop, or you kick a football and you miss the goal. One of the things I would love to have another go at was throwing that fish at the snake. Not because I like to throw fish or beat snakes up, but I missed it, and it seriously bothers me that I missed this snake. I mean, I was a complete fish throwing amateur, I'm not going to lie. That was my first fish throwing event, but yeah, just missed it. But yeah, as soon as the fish hit the water, like near it, I was only a few inches away from this fucking thing. Like, again, I was in a rubber dinghy, only a little one. This is why eventually, and again, consumer advice, if you're ever going to go boating and messing around on a lake or a river, get an inflatable swimming pool, because that was what we figured out like a year or 2, 3, 4, etc. later. Like, we kept using swimming pools after that. So that must have been like the early days of when we were messing around in the river. And yeah, this dinghy was tiny, and the thought of me laying in it at like water level and this snake flying up, and I'm telling you now, the abandoned ship. Again, I'm not particularly scared of snakes, but if some random snake come flying into my dinghy, I mean, I would call it a boat, but that's a bit of a stretch if I'm honest. It was about like about half the size of me, like sitting in a little metal bathtub like you see on them old pictures or something. Yeah, so I would have been out of there. Like say spiders though, that's the one for me. Where we live though, I used to basically live in a caravan, like a static caravan. It was fucking great, to be honest. We like lived on this big place. There was loads of people there. It wasn't just us. It was like, I don't know, there's about 1,000, 2,000 people living in them. And because when my dad died, I got a little bit of inheritance, not a lot. Like, so I bought this caravan, and funnily enough, like, well, I suppose not funnily enough, but this is how bad, like, my family are all, like, cool as fuck, but some of my family that are technically related are, like, complete arseholes, and this is how bad they were. Like, the day my dad died on the 5th of June 2004, on a Saturday at about 3 PM, I think he died, and on the same day, he died in the Isle of Man racing in the TT, and the same day at 5 PM, he was apparently in England signing over his share of 3 flats to his parents. So essentially, like, their own son had just died, and the first thing they did was get a lawyer arranged to sign over his assets to them, just in case me and my sister got them. And it's like, that's how bad they are, and they're loaded. They're like millionaires as well. We're all like nothing, like we've always been pretty skint because they're just like ruthless with money. But it's funny, like, never underestimate the ruthlessness of people. I didn't give a shit. I'm not asked about money. To be obviously, money is great. I could do a lot with money. I could, like, bills are a hassle, and I could help my family, all sorts of good stuff. We all could do a lot with money. But yeah, I'm not like, I've never been raised to. I'd never ever fuck someone over for money. Our mum always raised us saying, if you ever fuck anyone over or rob anyone, I'll disown you. It was like, I agree, but yeah, I'd never do it, like, out of principle. But it's just funny that they're all rich as fuck, but they're absolutely obsessed with money. Not only did they sign over the flats, they stole a 30 grand motorbike, an old Vincent 1000, and I only know it's worth 30 grand because something like the British Motorcycle Museum said if you can track it down, we'll give you 30 grand for it. Or it's worth 30 grand. Like, I was about, 15 at the time, so, like, I didn't get told a hell of a lot as, like, if I was an adult. And then, what else did they? Yeah, they took his computers, they took his Snap-on toolkit. He probably had, like, 50 grand's worth of Snap-on tool. And again, it's not about the money, but a load of Snap-on tools would have been pretty cool. And then he also had a watch, and as I said before in a video, he won racing in Daytona in, I think it was 1991, but I'll explain in a sec the reason why I'm a bit unsure about the date. Is, he won that race in Daytona, and the prize was a Rolex Daytona. Like, I think you can still buy that same watch now, but like as a proper Rolex, but obviously that one was like the 1991 Daytona winners Rolex sort of thing, so it's a bit more unique than, say, just buying a Rolex Daytona. But yeah, when he died as well, I believe he was wearing that. And again, this is his mum and dad basically, and like his mum is just like a bitter person. Like, I suppose it's technically my grandma. But yeah, they were jewelers, and they gave me a fake Rolex, like a very good fake. And the reason why I can't remember the year he won it, I believe it was 1991, but one of the reasons we knew it was fake is when they engraved the stuff on the back, it had 1992 or something written on it. It was either, I can't remember which way round it was, but I'm pretty certain it was 1991 he won it. And yeah, they had 1992 written on it, and I took it to a Rolex specialist, and he said, yeah, I think it's a fake, but he said it's one of the best fakes I've ever seen. And obviously they were jewelers, so they'd know how to, or they had no contacts that could fake it. But yeah, that's how, like, ruthless they are. They gave me a fake watch from my dad who had just died because they wanted to keep it for themselves. It's like, even though they're absolutely, well, I'd say millionaires, I would have thought, but yeah, like I say, I just don't like. I'm sure I could go to court and contest them flats and that, because it's pretty obvious he wasn't in England 2 hours after he died signing them over. But again, it's like, fuck it, keep your money. Like, I more enjoy, yeah, like, I'd rather the family I've got that are all sound than fucking money mad people like that. But yeah, that was basically went a bit off subject. That's why I ended up owning a caravan on this place. Like, yeah, like a static caravan. I mean, it was too big to tow along the road. It was like one that was just sat there permanently, really. But yeah, it was like brilliant, because back then the bills started getting more and more, but the site rent was only like £2.5 a year. So my bills were like 200 a month, and then my brother lived with me, so it was like 100 a month. So that's why it was great when we were doing landscape gardening. It's like, the nice thing living on there was obviously got to know quite a few people on there, and everyone was like having barbecues. Like, I got a lot of good mates on there, a lot of good people, and yeah, but everybody always had like a bit of spare money. Like, certainly no one was like wealthy, or not on this part of the, like, there was the other side of the place that had all big massive lodges like around the lakes and stuff. But for us, like, I mean, it was just like normal streets and stuff, I suppose, really, but we're all living in caravans. But it was yeah, it was like pretty cool. I'd recommend it. Like, bills are cheap, and as I said, everyone, because they weren't paying many bills, like, yeah, people were just out chilling, having like a party, having a barbecue. People had, like, you know, like, if they like cars, they've got not a expensive car, but they'll have some random toy. Like, we had a lot of American shows there and stuff, and a mate of mine had like a 600 horsepower 6.8 litre. Funnily enough, it was a Ford Anglia 105e, and if you type bad 105e on YouTube, it'll be the worst video quality ever. It's about 144p, but that was his car, and his number plate was Bad 105E, which is pretty cool for a 600 horsepower Ford Anglia. I mean, it was like a full-on drag car. It had like drag tyres on the back. Like it was a wheelie machine. Like it was an absolute crackpot. And the other cars he had was a 740 Beamer with a 4.4 litre V8, and then some American like Chevrolet camper van type thing that was like a 7.2 litre V8. Had like 20 litres of car on his drive. But that's what I mean. People had sort of all these random toys. That's why me and my brother ended up getting the M5s, because it was just, I could basically afford to live there and have an M5 for the same cost as living at a normal flat, really, because obviously bills are more expensive at a flat. And yeah, people just sort of enjoyed themselves more living on there. Like I say, people were having barbecues and that. It was just nice. It was a bit more of a relaxed lifestyle. But yeah, we got up to all sorts, because it was like private land. Obviously the whole site was on private land, but there was like fields and lakes. That was like the fishing lakes we had, the river at the back. There was like a fairground, an arcade, a go-kart track. There was all sorts of good shit, so it was like a bit like living on a holiday park. And obviously I'd never have access to that sort of stuff, like unless you're a multi-millionaire and you got it on your own private land. But yeah, like we all had sort of that, so it was kind of like, it was cool. I'd recommend it, but like bills got expensive to the point where it wasn't really worth it. But I was moving anyway, and then I'll tell you another time, but I got robbed, got broken into, and got robbed at knife point. But I was moving pretty soon anyway, and then that's part of the reason I got rid of the M5. Like I say, I wouldn't recommend getting robbed, but there was a few funny things that happened that night, but I'll save it for another time. Yeah, the way I see it is like, I'm not happy about it, but I ain't gonna sit worrying about it. It's like, worrying's like a rocking chair, gives you something to do, but it doesn't get you anywhere. I think I was actually off the Van Wilder film, so write that down if you know what I'm about. Yeah, but like, it's true though, so I mean, yeah, it wasn't the best night I've had, but there was some funny things. Like, again, I'll tell you another time. But yeah, that's what I used to do. That's why we had all these like lakes and rivers to mess around in. Funny enough, after the snake swam at me, I said to my brother, I was like, "Pass me the net," and he was the slowest reaction ever. Like, it took him about 10 seconds. That was the net that Dave brought up when I was on about that other fishing thing where he had a one dip. You see them arcades that were on the site. That's what we used to then say. Sort of quick one dip in the arcade because of that random saying he come out with. But yeah, like, it was bloody good times, so it was a good laugh while it lasted. But yeah, that was in the river, like, it with the dinghy, and then eventually the inflatable swimming pools. Got up to all sorts of good stuff. So I kind of did ramble past this whole mission, but I essentially drove there. There was some expert reversing up to the trailer to reconnect it, and yeah, just grab that service spare part from the other side of the helicopter, the crashed helicopter, and take it back to the garage. Pretty simple stuff. It'd be nice if the trailer store was next to the garage, not down the road, but it's not the end of the world, at least it's down the road. And then lastly, it's just this bit, it's not a proper thing, it's basically the end of the video, but I was just doing a quick bit of testing last night, I think it was, and I tried lining, like, as you can see, these like 4 vehicles, but 3 are on the trailers, and because of that physics thing, it's definitely fully locked the GMC into place. But you can see with the Voron, that must be about the limit, because when I pull really hard and stretch it, that's what she said, the Voron kind of sits in its own like locked physics, but then as I roll backwards it drops back down, so that must be about the limit. If I need to do more testing, this was just to quickly let you know, not to waste your time doing 10 in a row. If I attached a winch from the Dolphin to the Voron, it might then unlock the physics further back. Like when you're winching a vehicle, you kind of, when I was doing that super cool as Ford Lave-tastic expert Tas Bruce Dolphin truck, it was like, it wasn't locking up the stuff right at the back because I was winched to Bruce anyway, so that kind of freed the physics up halfway down the train. But yeah, I was just saying, like, obviously try and build some long road trains if you fancy it, but you're gonna have to, like, there is a limit before that the physics start kicking in. But yeah, that's about it for today. I mean, it wouldn't be complete if it didn't have a loaf flying off a cliff. Of course, it's a goddamn horse of a vehicle. Get yourself a loaf. I mean, look at him. He knows what he's doing. Knows how to handle them cliffs. But yeah, like I say, that's about it for today. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon. I mean, look at him take this tree out like a professional.